Hey everybody, welcome back to Table Talk. My name is Brant.
And my name is Kim.
And today we're going to talk about business, how to start a business, and how to get out of the gate for the first year and be successful.
Exactly. That's what we're going to
let's
talk
rock
about
and
today.
roll. So the very first thing that you normally have to do when you start a business, first of all, you're going to have your idea, and then you're going to kind of formulate a game plan. And most people call that a business plan. Okay, so for myself, when I went into business, I didn't have an actual business plan. I ended up putting one together, but I got started, without the business plan.
Right.
So I'm letting everybody know now that's not exactly the best way to go about doing it.
Exactly. I was going to say, you have to start, and you have to start out right if you want it to go smoothly.
Right.
A lot of people start differently, but your best way is to start with plan A and go to the plan B and C in order to be successful.
Right.
Or to have a little success. But I want to give a shout out to Kyle who asked the question.
Okay.
He wanted us to do this topic today.
Kyle, this is for you.
Kyle is into fitness, so we're going to touch base a little bit on that also.
Okay.
On how to start a fitness plan
Okay.
based business. But anyway, so go ahead. Continue.
Okay. Like the first thing you want to do is formulate a business plan. I like to call it a game plan.
Right.
And you want to be able to measure your progress. I mean, so, like you said, you got to have a starting point,
Right.
A lot of people might start with the idea, and this is not in any exact order, but you want to start out with the idea, kind of put together the product line that you're going to be having.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're going to want to, I always like to say this, that I like to have a step-by-step process as to, okay, I'm going to start with this, I'm going to then do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then my business is going to be up and running.
Right. But you know what? I think not only with the plan, but everything else that comes with it. So like if you have a name for your business,
Right.
you need to come up with something that is easy, something that has like a cute little ring to it.
Right.
Because you have to remember, this is you. This is the face of your business, your name. So
Right.
that's just as important as anything else that you do.
Right. Good point. So when it comes to having a name, you want to keep it simple, right? You want to keep it where you're appealing to the masses of people.
Right, where it has a cute little ring to it, where people, when they say it, they know exactly what you're talking about.
There you go. Okay, so number 2 would be, to be innovative. When I'm an older guy, so when I started my business,
Yes, you are an older guy.
Hey, I get it. But when I started my business, I knew that I needed to embrace current technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that, okay, I'm going to be on the internet and I got to have a website and I got to do all that. But here's the key. I mean, I'm not saying nothing that everybody doesn't already know. It's just something about bringing it back to reality as to what you need to do. Number 1, we needed to have a website.
Right.
Okay. So that was my first order of business, was to incorporate the business, formulate a game plan on a website. I didn't want a typical website where you can go and pay a couple $100 and you fill in the blanks. I wanted
that's what I was going to talk
website.
about too. That is a big portion of your money. So
Right,
any
at the
money
beginning.
that you have for your business, that is a big portion because that is the promotion of your business.
Right. And because I'm thank you for mentioning that, because when we put the website together, it was very well thought out. It was my first, maybe second time doing it, and I delivered all the content. They delivered all the, the pictures, and they helped with the content. But I'm the business owner, so I had to be able to drive my message as to what we wanted to do, right?
Right.
So it's a roofing business, that I have. So, okay, there's a million roofing companies. So when I started doing my research, I realized that so many roofing companies were, in the 1970s, and I wanted to be up to date. So
I know you were getting on my nerves with this because I was like, oh my goodness, just get it done. And you were like, no, this is important how people see us.
Yeah.
You
Seeing
know?
you on the internet for the very first time is going to determine,
Right.
a lot of how people either give you a call or email you or whatever and get out in contact with you.
Right.
So,
Because that's how I am. When I'm looking for something and I see their website, that is important to me because it's like, wow, they put a lot of time into this. This
Right.
website is awesome. So more than likely,
bam. That's
I would
true.
give them a call.
And that's true. That's the way I think. It's exactly right. I'm a customer. And I always tell my customers, hey, don't forget, I'm also a customer.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're all customers of one thing or another. And I always looked at, when I put the website together, that it was based on me being a customer and what I like and don't like. Okay. So when it comes to number 2, having a website, having a custom website is worth the money. Okay. Take your time and invest in your business out of the gate. Second thing you're going to want to do is be on all social media platforms. Okay. When you look up my company, the whole first page is everything about my company.
Right.
Whether it's the Better Business Bureau, whether it's Twitter or it's Instagram.
Right. Because you have to get your name out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook accounts. So all these things are very important. They're all interconnected and they're all intertwined together on social media.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah. And everything that you do, whether I don't care if it's a clothing store, a brick and mortar or whatever, you still use social media to drive customers to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I think more so than if you just did commercials. Only because I'm not saying that doing commercials isn't, going to bring you business, but I think so many people are now on social media. You have a younger generation, they don't even watch television.
right.
You know what I mean?
Netflix.
Right. So definitely using social media will definitely put your name out there, get your name out there.
And not only that, I mean, back in the old days, it was billboards on the side of the road, right? Or it was, advertising in your local
Buses
newspaper.
Right.
Today, we have social media platforms. If I want to know, males between 25 and 30 who only drive a Chevy pickup truck and that only go to church on the east side of town and only spend $30,000 or less a year, I can find all that information.
Right.
The social media platforms drive intelligence and drive that information. So take advantage of it when you first start your own business. It doesn't cost you anything to
Right.
get a Facebook account.
Exactly.
It doesn't cost you anything for Instagram or Twitter, and start to tell people and start branding you and your business. Okay. Number 3. For us, it would be don't rely on too few customers. In other words, don't drill down your customer base to a small portion of the world. You know what I mean? Of your local market. As an example, if I want to start a beauty salon, okay, I'm not going to just have people in there that can only do, one style
Right.
or one ethnicity. If it's, we're going to do, lack of a better way of saying it, we're going to do white people, we're going to do black people, we're going to do every people. And we're going to have different people who specializes in different things. Okay. I'm not going to just have a barbershop or a salon that caters to one
Right.
group of people.
Right.
Because you got to be able to be diverse. You've got to be able to diversify your business. You always have to appeal to the
definitely.
masses
Right.
of people. Okay. So Kyle, if you're going to be doing your online business, you got to make sure that you cater to people who are new to working out. Okay. To people who've been working out, but maybe need to experience taking their workout routines to a different level.
To the next level.
Yeah.
And also, when you talk about having a fitness business, there's so many ways you can do it.
Oh man,
It's not just
that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about being a guru. You don't have to be a guru. You just have to be knowledgeable. You have to be certified. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to be educated on healthy meal plans.
Create credibility.
Exactly. And there's so many ways you can do it. You can have it in the gym. You can also go to people's homes.
Yeah.
So, just being a personal instructor, you can do it, in their home, your home, if you care to offer that up, or in the gym.
Right. And that goes into that was a good point. And that goes into my next rule or topic. And that would be to know your competition, okay, and know your market. Okay. So I'll start with knowing your market. Okay. Me being in the roofing business, it was when I first looked up that industry in Georgia. In our local area, there was over 500 roofing companies that were on the Better Business Bureau. I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to work. You know what I'm saying? Not for me. I was scared to death because I didn't set out to own a roofing business.
Right.
I
kind of fell into it.
Well, I happened to be a sales,
Right.
director for a roofing company, and it kind of started that way. But when I started looking at all the competition, I was like, I really wasn't sure of myself. You know what I mean? But I went out on faith. I stepped out on faith, and I started to examine my market. Okay, who do I want to attract? Who am I? What type of industry, or is it going to be commercial? Is it going to be residential?
Right.
Right. Am I going to?
You were going back and forth with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Am I going to do both? That goes to back and being diversified. I do both.
You do both.
I do both
exactly.
commercial and I do residential.
Right.
So I don't want to leave anything left to say, oh, I don't do that.
Right.
We do it all.
Well,
right?
the thing about that is you can't really say, oh, well, I'll do commercial because I'll make more money.
Right.
Or I'll do residential because no, it just depends on the jobs. You
Right.
know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a commercial property that you have to do, and it's humongous, where it really, I mean, honestly, when you get paid, it's like really not worth it.
Right.
So
the time and the effort and the energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes big isn't always the best,
Right.
I mean, it seemed to me you did better when you did smaller homes, but you did a lot at one time.
Right. No, I get it.
So
yeah. So, you got to diversify your business, know your market.
Right.
Okay.
And that's just education.
Yeah.
You have to be out there constantly working, finding out what works, what doesn't work, because you have that too, where, you think, oh, this is a great idea, and it doesn't pan out. But you really have to know who your
target audience is.
Exactly.
Yeah, your
Good
demographics. So as an example, when I first started, there wasn't a lot of people. I mean, there was the top, roofing companies, but I mean, there wasn't a lot of roofing companies out there offering financing.
Right.
Well, I had a financing background, so I wanted to make sure, okay, if somebody has a 500
And so what did you do?
credit-
You took all your money and you lent it to people?
Yes, that's what I did. No, I wish I could have done that for, a great return. But what we did was I looked for financing companies who could go down as low as 525 credit score, as an example. A company who would deal with bad credit people who had credit challenges, but they still need a new roof.
Right.
So how do I help those people? And I found out that there's a lot of those people. Because after 2008, and including myself, a lot of people got crushed, in the second Great Depression in 2008. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of companies went out of business, and so a lot of people were challenged trying to rebuild their lives and rebuild their credit. Right. So I wanted to make sure that we found a company who could service, their needs and my needs with offering that type of program.
Right.
So, and we were way above everybody else in the area with our type of programs, when it offered, a new roof for
And
$80
people
a
love
month.
that. They love that.
Yeah. $80 a month. I can get them, qualified in 5 minutes.
Right. Because,
You know what I mean?
it beats having a bucket sitting in your living room,
Right.
or your kitchen.
Right. So you got to know your market. You got to know, and that'll also help down the road when you start to do advertising, okay? But know your competition. I set out for the first 12 months of my business to know everything I could about the competition. Okay. And I really didn't even, I took a different approach. I didn't even consider it competition. The marketplace was big enough for everyone.
Right.
Okay. So I actually got to know.
Lots of work for everyone.
Yeah. So I actually got to know actual other roofing company owners. Actually went out to lunch with other roofing company owners. The one thing I never did, which is a very big no-no, and that is talk bad about your competition. Customers do not want to hear that.
Right.
They do not want to hear about you bad-mouthing the competition.
Right. But I see that with everything. Whenever you never talk down about somebody else to make you look better.
Right.
You look better just if you can bring something good to the table.
Right.
And they like what you're selling. That's all you need.
Right.
Because once you put somebody else down, I'm like,
no, you lose them. Forget it. So I've always taught my salespeople, don't sell, just tell.
Right.
Tell them how you can help them. Tell them what the next few steps are. Get them comfortable and show them how we're better than everybody else. It's not that hard to do. So Kyle, do not put down the competition. Okay.
Right. Never do that.
Yeah. Set yourself apart from the competition. Okay. So that will be my next category. Okay. A lot of companies out there, I know there's a lot of brick and mortar stores out there that rely heavily on discounting.
Yeah.
Okay. And I always tell my guys, there's no reason to discount. Okay. Discounting doesn't work on a long-term basis. Okay. I've tried it over the years, not in the roofing business, but other, things that I was selling in the past. Okay. And it doesn't work. What works is you create value for your product and your service.
Right. So it's worth it to pay that extra whatever. But not only that, you know what I've always said? You know how when you're dealing with someone and they don't know you and all of a sudden out of the blue, they're like, because they're trying to sell you, they're like, oh, I'll give you a discount. And I'm like, why? I'm not your cousin. I'm not your aunt.
Right.
Why are you giving me a discount?
Exactly. That's a great point. I want to talk about that because that is something that I always have taught over the years. Okay. You don't drop your pants in front of the customer without, giving them an explanation as to why you just gave them a huge discount. Right?
Right.
You can discount if you have to win the job or sell a product, but you better have a very good explanation as to why you just did what you did. Wait a minute, you were just telling me it was $900. Now you're willing to give it to me for $600. Okay?
Right.
Well, if you can't give them an explanation, what do you call that? That's just called lying. And that's just called trying to rip somebody off, or at least that's the perceived notion.
If it was $900, why are you offering it for $600?
Exactly.
So, where's the extra $300?
And why did you do that? Why didn't you just come in at $600?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I've always.
But you have actually, shaved prices off for people to get them the business.
Yep.
Where it really hurt you. You know what I mean? You really didn't make the money that you should have made.
Right.
Not could have made, should have made.
Right.
You have honestly, so you have to pat yourself on the back for that because a lot of times you talk about how you prayed about this business and God allowed this business to happen for you.
Right.
So therefore, this goes back to when we talked about paying it forward.
Right.
So a lot of times you'll come home and you're like, wow, I just got beat up today. You know what I mean? So, sometimes when you do shave the price off, there is someone who's missing a little something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's because you're trying to help people get in. You're not trying to sell them and knocking, hundreds and hundreds of dollars off because they're like, okay, so why was it $900? Like you said, why didn't you just come in at $600? I mean, what were you actually making with it being $900?
Right. In the sales business, Kyle, and in business, I mean, it doesn't matter what type of business you have, you're selling something. Okay? You have to sell something in order to make money, whether it's a service or whether it's a product.
Right.
The one thing I've always taught my sales guys, if you're going to discount the price, okay, first of all, they know, I have went over this 1,000 times, they know, exactly how far they can go on a particular job, right? Okay. But the one thing that I've always taught them to do is use a phrase that is very helpful, and most sales guys know this phrase. It's taught in many areas of sales, and that phrase is, if I can, will you? So if I can lower the price for you, will you in turn do business with us, number one? But I always like to go a step further, Kim, because we are in a world of online content, right? And everything's like this, so reviews and all kind of stuff.
Right.
So when I ask a customer, or my guys ask a customer, hey, if I can, will you number one tell everybody about us? Okay, because we don't advertise, we work on word of mouth.
All right.
Okay. The second thing is, will you go online and give us a review on Google, right? And or the local Better Business Bureau, and or Yelp, or any of the other ones of Facebook. We're on all of them.
Right.
Okay. So we want to make sure that if we're going to go out of our way and give a customer a break,
right,
a better opportunity. I don't like to use the word
something in return.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word deal too much. It sounds, slippery.
Right.
But if we're going to
Shady.
give them a better opportunity, and we're going to give them the opportunity to be able to get what they want, then in turn they got to be committed to giving us a little something in return.
Right.
And giving us what we want. You know what I mean? So
and that makes sense. That's understandable.
Yeah. So all in all, these are the basic tips, to start a business. I mean, yeah, it's I covered, I'm all over the map, but these are the 5 things that will help you get out the gate.
We're just talking about starting, because there's so much to a business.
Oh my God.
I mean, we could do this for the next 10 hours.
Yeah. And the one thing I want to add, I mean, I don't care, the one thing you've got to be, number one, you got to be flexible. Because you're going to be changing your game plan constantly with the environment that you're involved in. Okay. Number 2, you got to be tough. Okay.
Now, I wanted to mention that when you say you have to be tough, you have to stay the course.
Right.
Because it's so easy to say, okay, well, I've been in business now and I'm not doing anything. You have to stay the course.
Right.
It's like, if you just continue to do what you're doing, as long as it's positive and it's good for people, people will eventually find out. More and more people will talk you up, and your business, I mean, because there's times when people are slowly building, and then boom.
Right.
They're like, oh, what happened? Just like when people say, oh, you're an overnight success. Well, no, you've been working.
Right.
You've been pushing. You've been trying so hard to get, where you need to go. And then, bam, somebody discovers something, and discovers you, and everybody's like, oh, let's go with Kyle, or let's go with Brant, or whatever it may be. But you've got to stay the course. You cannot sit and say, well, this is not working out, because it's so easy to do that.
Staying the course means stay in the game. You got to be in it to win it. Okay.
Right.
You got to be in the game to win the game. Okay. And the game is not short term. You got to have your short term, and then you got to have your long term goals.
Exactly.
Okay. So this is what I got to do in the short term to get some traction. And then you revisit again in 3 months. Okay. This is what I got to do for the next 3 to 4 months. Then you revisit again. My game plan today, 3.5 years later, is not the same game plan I had at the very beginning, or even in the second year.
Right.
So now I've taken my business to a whole different level.
And it's changed up along the way.
It always has.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like, okay, well, this doesn't work. Let's go this way.
Yeah.
But you didn't give up. You stayed in the game.
Got to stay in the game. So you got to be tough, man. You got to be flexible, and you've got to have a work ethic behind everything that we've talked about today. If you have a work ethic, okay, I'll tell you that hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. Okay. I didn't say that. No. That came from my man, Kevin Durant. And I will tell you, it's the truth. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not willing to leave it on the table, or, leave it on, give it everything you got on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and on an annual basis, you can pack it in. Don't even start a business. Go get a job, work on an hourly wage, punch a clock. Okay, if you're willing to get out there on your own and you're willing to work hard, you can make it. So, Kyle, I gave you a lot of information today. Hit us up. Let us know how that worked out for you. And very interested to see your progress. Definitely want to hear more about it. Anybody else that's out there that we found this helpful?
Well,
you know,
this just
let us
wasn't
know.
for Kyle. He asked the question.
Yeah,
so
let us know.
We kind of tailored it for him. But that's for any business that you have.
Yeah.
You you have to get in it, stay in it, and just keep working and keep working. When you were talking about working, the thing I've always said to people is, and years ago we used to talk about this, hard work and dedication, people do it all the time. It's, when they're working for other people, they put in the hours and hours and hours, and someone else is, making the money. But when it comes time to do your own, you fail to put in those hours, and you're like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? Well, if you just put in the time that you spent doing something else in your own, that makes the world so much easier for you. Because first of all, I say get into a business that you enjoy or like, or something that you're interested in. Right. Because then you don't feel like you're working. You feel like you're just doing it, and it just comes naturally.
So execute the game plan.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Hey, well, listen, if you like what we had to say today,
go ahead and subscribe.
We'd love for you to subscribe.
And ring that bell so you can get notices every time we post.
And that would be amazingly helpful. Mm-hmm. We love what we're doing. And if you love us, stay tuned. We've got a lot of more stuff coming out later on. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this up right now, Kim. Mm-hmm. And, we had a great time.
Great time.
Awesome.
Awesome.